Videotape it.
I am.
Oh my goodness. Oh my God, he's coming right at us. Hey guys!
Welcome to the channel.
Yes,
welcome back. Or welcome to whichever one if it's your first visit. I am Jedediah, and this is
Lenny, like Lenny Kravitz.
And we are L2J Journey. And this week's episode is all about
Black Hills,
South Dakota. Left Glacier National Park and got into South Dakota. Our plan for that was to spend 2 weeks in South Dakota. And the reason for that is we wanted to spend a week in Spearfish and then a week in near Hill City at Larson's Crooked Creek.
Right.
We wanted to get our domicile done, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. Our first week we spent in Spearfish.
Yes.
And we stayed at Chris's RV Park. Right there on the south side of Spearfish. And Spearfish is a cool little town.
It is. It's really cool.
Bunch of little restaurants. There's like some bike paths around there. There's a little road that kind of goes through a canyon, and there's some waterfalls. So some neat little hikes around there too. So we spent our second week at Larson's Crooked Creek RV Resort, and we're going to spend a little bit of time talking about that because it's kind of situated in the center of everything. It was 15 minutes from Crazy Horse Monument. It was like 16 or 17 minutes from Mount Rushmore. It's close to Hill City, which is a cool little town. And it's only an hour from Sturgis and Deadwood. It's kind of central to everything. We really liked it. The park itself is awesome. Going to Hill City, you've got the Black Hills Railroad that runs through there.
Which is so cool. Neat restaurants. Yes. There was the German restaurant that we ate at. The building itself has been there for a long time.
A lot of history in that building.
Yeah, it had the old phone booth, the same owners for a long time. So it was pretty neat because it was a part of history of that town.
Yeah.
A bunch of stuff to do around there, and it was really fun. And just driving around the Black Hills area is so neat.
Oh, it's beautiful.
It is a beautiful area to drive through. So Larson's Crooked Creek, great little campground. I highly recommend staying out there. There's a bike trail that runs from Deadwood, and it goes south from Deadwood all the way to Edgemont.
Yes. And there's a fun fact. Mickelson Trail is 109 miles long, and it has over 100 converted railroad bridges and 4 rock tunnels.
Yeah.
How cool is that?
Really nice trail. So
super nice.
If you're into the bike riding, cruising, biking, and there's a bunch of branch off from that trail. I mean, it's a really neat trail. Highly recommend that campground.
Yes.
While we were there, it was pretty cool. They had a band come in on that Friday.
Yep.
It was just 2 gentlemen, but they did cowboy music.
Yeah, we thought it was like country, but it wasn't. It was cowboy music.
Cowboy music is its own thing, and it was really neat. Those guys were really cool. We're gonna play a little clip of one of the songs they did, which we really liked a lot because
we
it was
totally enjoyed it.
It was about the bristlecone pine.
Yep, that was a really cool song.
Yeah, so Google the bristlecone pine, and then you'll hear this little segment of this song, which kind of relates to that pine tree. And
it's another little fun fact.
yeah, it is. That's my fun fact.
Way up in the mountains on a high timber line, there's a twisted old tree called the bristlecone pine. The wind there is bitter, it cuts like a knife. Keeps that tree holding on for dear life. Hold on it does, standing its ground, standing while empires rise and fall down. And Jesus was gathering lambs to his fold. The tree was already 1,000 years old. Now the way
I have to say, we totally enjoyed that place a lot.
Larson's Crooked Creek RV Resort near Hill City, South Dakota. Check it out.
Check it out. It's right there. One of the many things that we did there was go to see Crazy Horse.
So we drove out there for just a day. We didn't really make any
Yeah.
plans, and I would recommend if you're going to go out there,
definitely make plans.
go onto the website, plan out your stay because there's a bunch of stuff to do.
Yeah.
There's a museum there. There's a little theater which you go down. They have like shows so many times a day or
Tells you about kind of the history of everything that's going on there.
it gives you the history of where it began, how it began, who was involved, and it's a bunch of cool stuff.
Yeah.
So there's a bus that takes you down to the base of the monument. They do cultural shows there, like dancing, and then there's art exhibits and shows that they can do. I think there's like
it was
pottery
amazing.
classes. There's a ton of stuff you can do. So again, plan it out, go on their website, look up what's going on and plan it out. I think there's a hike actually that goes up to the top of the mountain.
I think so too.
But it's only available certain times of the year.
Yeah.
That wasn't even an option, I don't think, when we were there.
We totally enjoyed it. It's definitely some place that you want to visit for sure.
Oh yeah, awesome monument and a really
Really
neat
is.
history of the Lakota and the Dakota Indian tribes and Crazy Horse himself and his cool Crazy Horse. If you go there, learn the history, it's pretty neat.
Yeah. Hold on. I got another fun fact. Did you know that Crazy Horse is celebrating their 75th anniversary this June, the very first weekend?
It's amazing what they're doing out there, and I hope I'm around long enough to see it finished.
Yes, that would be really cool.
Another cool thing that we did while we were there, which we kind of stumbled upon on our way back from Rapid City one day.
Yeah.
We were driving down Highway 16, and we stumbled onto Bear Country, USA.
Oh, it's so cool. Fun fact, did you know that that park was started by a dentist?
I do now.
Well, Bear Country also does a lot of community outreach.
Yeah, they've got, if you go on their website, and I don't know if Bear Country USA, maybe I'll put it up here on the top. But if you go on their website and go down, they have a ton of outreach programs, which is pretty cool. So they're definitely giving back to the community.
Yeah.
Neat
And
place.
we love that part.
So obviously the main attraction for us going there would be Mount Rushmore.
Mount Rushmore.
And we had never been. We're horrible Americans. There's a hiking trail.
Which is so cool.
Yeah, which starts at the main visitor center area. It goes down in just a loop, just a big loop.
Yeah.
It's not a hard trail. It is up and down. There's a bunch of steps.
And we kind of took the back way Like, usually you go this.
Because I'm different. Everybody's going left.
Yeah.
I want to go right.
And that's exactly what we did. But it was cool.
Yeah. And one of the coolest parts about that little trail is along the way, especially as you get towards the back end or closer to the monument itself, there's these big placards, and we're upset because we'll show you 3 of them. we missed poor Teddy somehow. I think it's because we were kind of blown away by how they sculpted the glasses. You can actually
see the glasses.
See the glasses, like the rim work into the sculpture itself. So that looks really neat. And for whatever reason, we didn't take a picture. I'm gonna say we took the picture and a gremlin got it.
Yeah.
Because we'll show you the placards that we have of Lincoln and Jefferson and Washington, but we don't have the one at Teddy. But it's really cool because you get to these placards, and from where the placard is, you look up, and it's like this outlined view just of that president, like through the trees.
Yeah,
so you look up and you can see that president profiled through the trees from the placard, and then it gives you the history of the president and all this stuff. So it's really cool.
That part really was super cool for
Really
me.
cool how they did that, how they set that up, and that was all kind of planned in. I thought that was neat.
Yeah, it felt like I was proud to be an American, you know? I have a fun fact. Did you know that Mount Rushmore was named after an attorney, Charles Rushmore?
I did know that. That is kind of crazy to think that Mount Rushmore was named after an attorney. But Charles Rushmore was actually, he was the one that kind of secured a lot of the mining rights out there, specifically the Etna mine. It's not Etna, it's Etta. Google the Etta mine. Etta mine. And that was kind of, I guess his big deal was securing the rights to mine out there. So then he went out and spent a bunch of time with the prospectors in the area. And they got to liking him so much that at some point he had mentioned, hey, what's that mountain called, this big granite mountain? And they were like, well, it doesn't have a name, but let's go ahead and name it. And they named it like Rushmore Peak, I believe is what they first called it, according to Charles Rushmore.
Yeah.
And then they ended up putting it in the record books, and he found out about it actually later that it was legitimately named after him. So kind of a cool story.
It is
but
a cool
also
story.
the Etta mine, just the mining history for the Black Hills is really neat to
really
check that
cool.
out and research that history. So some cool stuff out there.
Really is.
Go visit Mount Rushmore. It's a must see.
Definitely a must see.
And somewhere along the way, she thinks it's Colorado. I think it was Montana. Somebody had mentioned that you can get your domicile in South Dakota pretty easily. So we looked it up, and come to find out, South Dakota is very easy to get a domicile. So now this is for your full-time RVers. If you don't have property somewhere else or a main residence somewhere else, there's a couple different states where you can make it your domicile. That's kind of like where you get your mail, and there's mail forwarding stuff. There's a bunch of stuff that has to do with it. Google it. But here's the basic rundown. You only have to stay in South Dakota for one night.
Yeah, 24 hours.
At like an RV site. Take your receipt from the RV site you stayed at. I went to the DMV with my driver's license, and I think I used my passport. And you can get your license changed right there to South Dakota license. You use that to get your vehicles registered in South Dakota. That you do in Deadwood, which was awesome because I went in there and I was in there, 10 minutes?
Yeah, in and out.
And that's the other thing is when you call them, there's no voice automated response, anything like that. So somebody picks up, they're like, hello, they're super friendly. Yeah, they give you your plates right there.
Right there.
The purpose for that, for anybody who wants to know, is South Dakota, you don't pay any property tax.
Yeah,
state property tax. For those of you who, like us, lived in Carolina or Virginia and we were paying several $1,000s a year in property tax, you don't pay any of that. If you domicile in South Dakota, I think Florida's another state.
In Texas.
In Texas, they don't have the property tax. But those states all have different income taxes or no income tax at all, like South Dakota and Florida.
Insurance can run a little bit cheaper or a little bit higher.
And that's why a lot of people pick South Dakota over Florida or Texas is because of the natural disaster thing. Usually the insurance ends up being more expensive in those states than it is in South Dakota. Even though they have the hailstorms. That's something you can look into, the domicile thing.
And that's one of the best reasons to visit South Dakota.
So that was it for our stay in South Dakota. The Black Hills area specifically, where we stayed. There's so much to do there. We'd already planned after we left South Dakota, we were gonna go celebrate our 20-year anniversary?
Yes, 20-year anniversary.
20-year
upstate
anniversary.
Michigan.
Yeah, in Northwest Michigan. So we headed out of South Dakota. For anybody who's driven through South Dakota, all you see for like 200 miles are signs for wall drug.
Wall drug. I thought it was pretty neat. It has a lot of little
There's a
stores.
lot of stuff there with shops
You
everywhere.
gotta visit it. I mean, you just have to.
Yeah. And the last thing we'll talk about is the Badlands. Now, we didn't hit the Badlands on our way back, but we hit the Badlands on our way to the west, our first way through South Dakota. So we thought we'd give the Badlands an honorable mention because
it's amazing.
if you're gonna go through South Dakota, and that section of South Dakota, definitely check out the Badlands because it's beautiful. If you go to our first episode of this season, our first episode, we have some really good footage and videos and pictures and stuff of the Badlands, so you can go back and check it out. We'll throw a few in here, but that was our visit to South Dakota. If you did enjoy this, please give us the subscribe, hit us up with that subscribe.
Thumbs up.
Give us a thumbs up. Click the little notification bell so you can be notified of new videos, new things we come out with. Share this with your friends, all that stuff that helps us keep creating new videos and new content, which we enjoy doing. And
we appreciate every one of you so much.
We really appreciate the support for everybody that's already subscribed. We will see you in Northwest Michigan next.
And it's incredible.